Wii Sports Resort is one of the best games Nintendo has ever made. It's full of fun and personality, it has a huge amount of enjoyable and replayable content, and it's got a pretty fantastic soundtrack as well. And today I'll just be focusing on that last one. Wii Sports Resort's music is a topic that I've always wanted to really dive into. This game's soundtrack is one of my all-time favorites. It's like pure positive energy in song form. The way sound and music is used in this game is really great. It adds to the immersion and believability of the world and gameplay, while also being super upbeat and memorable too. I'll be going over some of my favorite examples of both the music and sound design, trying to break down what makes this soundtrack so good. But keep in mind that I don't actually know anything about music. This is all from the perspective of a fan who just likes the way things sound, so it won't be a detailed breakdown of the composition. Now let's get started. I've been playing this game a lot in preparation for this video, specifically paying attention to the music as I play, and I've noticed a couple interesting things. Let's start with one of my favorite things this game does, which is having music that dynamically changes as you play. This can be simple stuff like the menu theme changing depending on what you select. On the main screen, it's the classic title screen theme, but once you start selecting stuff, the music changes into this gorgeous, smooth jazz rendition that I absolutely love. The two sports I really want to highlight here that have amazingly dynamic music are swordplay and cycling. In Swordplay Duel, there's some basic drums playing as you fight, with things getting more intense the closer to the edge you or your opponent gets. But Swordplay Showdown is where things get really interesting. Whenever I think about the music in this mode, it strangely feels like it fits perfectly into everything I'm doing, and that's because it kind of does, making for a super epic feeling experience for 9-year-old me. The music actually changes depending on when you reach certain checkpoints, at least as far as I can tell. At the start, there's this basic layer of music playing. And this small part with horns will play every time you make it through a wave of enemies. I did a lot of testing, and this tune never plays if you simply sit and never hit anyone. The song will repeat the same basic part over and over again until you defeat all the Miis. And then about halfway through the level there's always a big gap between the oncoming Miis, which is where another extra part of the song is added in alongside everything else. And there's even some extra strings added in when you only have one heart left to make things feel extra stressful. This is all kind of complex, but basically this song is actually being put together and created as you play through the level, with specific sections being added to the music as you fight your way around the island. This is really effective because it means that the best parts of the song only play between gaps in the fighting, so you're always able to hear and focus on these important musical moments. All of this combines together to make that epic feeling experience that all of us remember so well. It's impressive that music that is dependent on the player's actions still finds a way to feel natural and well made. And it all comes to an end with the final hit on the boss, where a big gong joins in to close out the song. Cycling is very similar to Swordplay Showdown, where the music adds and removes elements depending on what the player is doing. I won't go as in depth with this one, but it makes for a very customized music experience that feels like there's someone who made a song just for your specific gameplay. The music is like your companion that's right there alongside you, playing triumphantly when you get a burst of speed, getting tired and running out of breath when you do, and encouraging you to make that final push to the end. I'm sure someone smarter than me could do a more detailed breakdown of what's going on with the music in these two sports, but that's what I was able to gather from my playtime. I've seen this sort of adaptive music used in all sorts of games, but Wii Sports Resort does it at a level unlike anything else I've seen. All of the sports get their own unique theme songs, more than one in fact. Each sport comes with its own package of themed songs. Each one has an intro and outro song that plays before and after you start. These songs are masterfully created to capture the spirit of every sport. It's hard to even put into words. The instrumentation chosen just matches the vibes of each sport so perfectly. Wakeboarding just sounds like wakeboarding. And canoeing sounds exactly like what canoeing should sound like. Some sports even get different results music for whether you win or lose, which is really cool. And there's even an electric guitar added in that plays during the intro when fighting Matt, or any other champion. Having different songs that play at the beginning and end of every mode wraps it all up in a nicely themed package of happiness. Each sport having its own unique intro and outro music is something I miss dearly in Nintendo Switch Sports, as things get pretty stale with the same intro every time. All 12 sports have amazing songs. It's a huge amount of music to cram into one game, especially when you take into account that all 12 sports also have unique replay music. And sports like archery have separate opening songs for every stage. All this different music sets the scene perfectly for what you're about to play, and gets you in the mood for that specific sport. Plus these songs are just super catchy, something that the Wii Sports series has always been great at. Most of the sports actually don't have any music playing during the actual gameplay itself. Instead, the sounds of the sports gear and the nature surrounding you are what keep you company. So let's move on to talking about the sound effects, which probably aren't really categorized as part of the soundtrack, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. In golf, you could hear the sounds of the water, the birds chirping above you, and the wind gently blowing across the landscape. And in basketball, you can hear the sounds of cars driving by and people shouting at you from behind the fence. And while we're on the topic of basketball, I have to mention how incredible it sounds when you nail a three-point shot.
That's three!
The sound design is so strong and satisfying in these sports that there isn't really a need for music playing over everything. Archery even does this really cool thing where the sounds of the world slowly fade into the background as you focus on the target. And I love the sound of hitting Mies right in the face in swordplay. Or that amazing sound of getting a perfect strike in bowling. And the sound of the crowd reacting to how well you're doing adds a great little bit of personality. Oh yeah, and the announcer adds a lot to the sound design too, whether he sounds disappointed,
2,
or like he just witnessed the greatest thing he's ever seen.
10!
And just everything about the audio design in wakeboarding is incredible.
Excellent! Wow! Incredible! Whoa! Amazing! Wow!
Island Flyover is the perfect example of sound effects being used effectively. There isn't really any music playing as you fly around the island. Instead, it's just the sounds of the world below you. The sound of your plane's engine and the way it spins and whooshes through the air is just amazing. One of my personal favorite things to do in this mode is flying high up into the air and cutting the engine, then free falling back down to the island and saving myself at the last possible moment. Certain locations around the island even have their own music that you can only hear for a few moments as you fly past, which is a shame because these are some really great songs. The Queen Peach has this town party theme that plays at night that makes me really wish I could join in on the fun. And the Cabana Lagoon has this beautifully relaxing version of the main theme, which is made even better by the sounds of waves crashing on the beach next to you. What I'm trying to say with all these examples is that the sound design of Wii Sports Resort is terrific, and it gives the sports and the location of Wuhu Island a sense of realism that I really appreciate. Another one of my favorite things this game does is making use of diegetic sound. That just means that the song is presented as if it's playing in the world itself, and not just thrown on top of the gameplay for the player alone. It's when you're sitting in the airplane before the start of the game, listening to the Wii Sports tune playing softly in the background with the sound of the engine humming beneath you.
We've reached our jump altitude of 13,000 feet. Prepare to jump. Roger.
I'm obsessed with the vibe this simple scene creates, and the biggest reason why is because of the way sound and music is used. Another example is that the bowling theme sounds like it's playing out of speakers in the distance, echoing through the air of the building. This does a lot for the player's immersion, and I really love the atmosphere it creates. And those are my scattered thoughts on why Wii Sports Resort has such great sound design and music. Hopefully this was somewhat interesting and enjoyable, even though I really have no idea what I'm talking about. Whenever I play this game, its soundtrack is always one of the things that sticks out the most to me, so I wanted to highlight that for a bit. I always like focusing on just one aspect of my favorite games. I'd love to hear what you think about Wii Sports Resort's music, or just video game music in general. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see ya in the next one.